So that's what we did. We went on a bikepacking trip for a week on the northwest coast of Norway in August. Only problem was that during that week was the worst weather that's ever been recorded in Norway since ever. Happy New Year! Hope you had a nice Christmas and a nice New Year's Eve celebration. I'm supposed to make this video between Christmas and New Year's Eve, but basically decided to do other things the past week, so might as well just do it now before it's too late, considering this type of video should be done in 2023, I suppose, but I'm guessing a couple of days into 2024 should work as well, considering I'm going to show you the best photos from last year. So I've gone through most of the photos that I took last year, sorted them out, and managed to boil it down to around 30 photos. Let's just take a look at them and we'll talk about it, and hopefully this won't be too long of a video, but we'll just have to see how much I can keep my mouth running, I suppose. We'll start in December 2022. And this first photo here is from a mountain called Gaustatoppen, or the Gaustad Peak, maybe it's better translated to English. It's basically just a massive ice block, 2.5 hours drive from Oslo, so it's a pretty close ski touring mountain that's nice to ski in early season or late season, so basically December, January, or April, May, June even, depending on how much snow it is that year. And that's basically because it just sits in the middle of the landscape, very few other mountains surrounding it, so it's really exposed to wind and weather, and it's super cold usually there as well. That's why you go to early season, because it usually gets snow quite early. You can get some good skiing there before the wind comes and blows the snow to crap. Considering it's so exposed to the wind, it just gets super icy and hard packed later in the season. It got some nice distinct couloirs in front of the mountain, which you can see here on this other picture, which is taken by drone during the same day. That's basically why you go there to ski one of those couloirs, because the normal route up, where you skin up, it's quite flat and just icy and wind packed, so it's much more interesting to ski down the couloirs because it's more sheltered to the wind and you get better snow conditions there. So this is a photo taken of my friend Ola on the ridge towards one of the couloirs. So this is like mid-December or something in 2022. And I really like this photo because it's around, I don't know, 2 p.m. maybe, and the sun is really low and it's getting foggy and it's cold, so all of that combined made it for a really interesting and unique light. Managed to capture him walking towards me on the ridge, away from the pillar you can see behind there, which is basically a tower on the top of the mountain, where you actually have inside is actually a tram that can take you all the way to the top inside a mountain. It's quite unique actually. So that's also what's quite special about it, that you don't have to skin up, you can actually go there, buy a ticket and take the tram inside the mountain up there. So this next photo is actually from Christmas Day 2022. I wanted to try some winter riding last year, and I put some spokes on my bike and decided to ride up to this spot in Nordmarka, the forest that surrounds Oslo. It's around 8 or 9 km from the main road, up on this maintenance road in Nordmarka, where they plow because of forest activities. Managed to get a self-portrait with the sun rising on Christmas Day. I think it's around 9:30 in the morning, maybe a bit earlier, maybe a bit later, but yeah. Alright, so now we're in 2023. This is January. This is the Tryvanns Tower, the Tryvann parking lot to the ski resort. Taken in the afternoon, just fire up my drone outside here. I managed to snap this photo. Super nice light on the trees, and we get the famous Oslo fog next to the tower there, a bit lower down. So yeah, made for a quite cool photo. So February came around, and I spent a lot of time hanging out in Hemsedal last season. They had a proper good winter with lots of snow, and yeah, I was there for various reasons, but I really enjoy ski touring, and Hemsedal has some proper cool mountains to do that activity. and it's not too far from Oslo. So I drove up there a few times, and I hang out with a buddy of mine, Alex, who lives in Hemsedal, or a bit further in the valley. A bit sketchy conditions, and not the best snow at the time I was there. So we decided to go out and hunt, or he wanted to go hunt. I was just hanging out and tagging along and seeing if I can get some good turns while I'm at it. So I snapped a photo of him walking in the forest, looking for some birds in the trees. Or maybe they're not in the trees, maybe they're just hanging out in the snow. Not really sure. Not big of a hunter myself, but I mean, it's not the best photo, but I kind of like it, even though he's white and everything else is black. But Hemsedal is a nice place, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna spend some time there this season as well. So March came around, and I had at this point just finished Vasaloppet, which usually takes a lot of time and focus earlier in the season. And I was keen on getting back into the mountains. So I talked to Alex, the guy in the previous photo, and he asked me if I could come and help guide a group of people up at Fonsbu, a national tourist cabin, which is a few hours north of Oslo, situated east in Jotunheimen, a really famous national park in Norway with lots of great mountains. So I drove up, came late in the evening, and then the next morning I woke up to this photo, basically. Just pointing the camera out of the window because I saw someone from said group standing outside and just soaking in the sunrise. Yeah, I want to include the window. You get like this feeling of me looking outside from the inside in a way. Super nice morning. It's a super nice place. It was a nice day for sure, and I'm looking forward to go back there this winter. It wasn't really the best snow that weekend, but as you can see, it's not the worst place to hang out, no matter what snow it is, to be fair. The winter flew by, spring was arriving, and we're now in April already, and here I am preparing for probably my biggest challenge yet. Came up with this idea pretty early in the year that I wanted to combine two of my favorite activities, ski touring and biking. And I gotten some inspiration from YouTube. Saw this video called Ice and Palms, which is two Austrian guys, I think, or maybe the German, I'm not really sure. But they were basically doing the same thing just down in the Alps from, I think maybe it was from Germany, down to the Riviera, where they rode their bikes with their skis attached through the Alps and skied different areas in the Alps before they ended up down in the Riviera. And it's one of my all-time favorite movies on YouTube, and I really liked the idea, and I thought, well, if they can, then why can't I, you know? So I sat down and planned my route, managed to get Rob on board. It was quite good timing because at this point they were just about to release their cycling clothing line. So for them it felt quite nice to get someone to show off their clothing cycling line and also their ski clothes. So it was really cool. That's how that relationship started. Planned the route and started figuring out how to pack my bike, which wasn't easy, but I found a way. And this is like from a test ride just in my home area, where I kitted the bike with everything that I needed for the trip and just took a short ride up and down some small hills to see how it felt. And I just snapped a photo of me, preview photo. Yeah, as you can see, it was quite kitted up bike, and when I say it was my toughest challenge, you can probably imagine, considering all the weight that goes on the bike with all the equipment, with ski boots and skis and tent, sleeping mat, sleeping bag, food, water, ski clothes, biking clothes, base layers, etc., etc. But I was destined to ride my bike to the mountains and do some ski touring, and the route I set was around 1,000 kilometers, with ski touring pretty much every 100 kilometers or something. Started off at Gaustatoppen here, as you can see. This is me towards the Gaustad Peak, you know, the mountain I showed you in the first photo. So here you get a good view of how that's situated. As you can see, it's basically just a big ice block in the middle of the landscape. Yeah, this is from the top of Gaustad Peak. There's a small tourist cabin here as well, where you can get served some coffee and get a waffle and relax for a second before you ski down again. This is at Haukeli. Met up a friend along the way, and he wanted to ski a line, in a certain area in Norway, which was on my route. So we linked up and basically ski that big face. You can see it's just straight in front of him. That big open face with all the rocks in the middle. So he skied one of those lines. Yeah, and here's the self-portrait from the trip. This is pretty much halfway or something. Everything worked pretty well. Up and down, up to the mountains, down to the fjords. So it was like on and off with clothes all the time. It was really fun, but challenging for sure. And here's the self-portrait on top of one of the mountains. I think this is a mountain called Togga, which is in Sogndal. Really famous mountain there. Basically the mountain all people at Sogndal skis all year round. Or all season, not all year round, but and this is towards Hemsedal. This was probably the worst climb I ever done. It was horrible. It was over this mountain pass, and to get to the top of the mountain pass, it was basically like an 8-9 kilometer climb, switchbacks and long steep roads, and I was nearing the end, so I was quite tired, and with the bike that weighs at least twice as much as usual, it was I was hating life at this point. And when I came to the top of the mountain pass, it was lots of snow, lots of wind, lots of heavy traffic going past me. It was probably one of the most scariest times during the whole trip, but I made it through, back to Oslo, back to my local ski resort, and made it home in one piece. So trip of a lifetime for sure, alone, 18 days, 1,000 kilometers. I don't know how many height meters, but a lot, over 10,000. It's a whole series about it on my channel if you want to watch the movie from it. It's like 5 or 6 episodes, so good times. Come May, I was on this social ride in the Nordmarka after the snow had gone with a group of people. Brought my camera and snapped this photo of one of the members of the group on one of the climbs in Nordmarka, which are a lot of up and down, up and down. You'll be surprised, but if you want to see how good of a shape you're in, come here and I'll show you. Because just to say, you have to love small climbs and hilly terrain if you want to come and ski or ride your bike here. And then in June, I was asked to take some photos of a social group ride for the Norwegian Child Cancer Foundation, which I did pro bono. And snapped a lot of photos, but this was probably my most favorite one. The guy showing off his, I guess it's his hometown club or something. He was, I think it was from Spain. It was a nice day. This is also June. This is from something called Oslo Dawn Patrol Gravel Edition. I did a couple of videos of it earlier this year, so you can go watch that as well if you want to. But if you haven't, then it's basically a social group ride that is every Tuesday and Thursday, and they start at 05:45 from the city center of Oslo, all year round, no exceptions. And it's been growing in popularity for the last 5 years since it started, and I think it was like an all-time meetup this summer with around 200 people during the 5-year anniversary ride. And then there's like this small group of people who rides it every Tuesday and Thursday all year round. It's like 10 hardcore people who's riding it all year round. And then they started this gravel edition, which is only in spring, summer and fall. Same here, but we start a bit higher up in the city. But we start at 05:45 and we ride a gravel loop of around 27, 28 Ks or something. Don't arrest me on that, but around that area. Super nice loop, and we're now talking maybe 6 in the morning, something like that. So it's already super bright outside. And I brought my cameras and snapped some photos of the participants. It's quite dusty at this early in the summer, but it's nice roads and super nice ride and a really good way to start the day. Another one from June is my brother and my niece, and this is from an island in the inner Oslo fjord called the Cheese Island. I'm not kidding, it's called the Cheese Island, but it's super exclusive. It has this country club. I'm not sure about the conditions to be a member, but money, I guess. And it's got this really nice golf course of, not a golfer, but my uncle has a cabin, I suppose. So he invited the family and some relatives from the States to have a lunch there at said country club. So I guess that's why we were allowed to go there. Yeah, snapped a photo of my brother and my niece towards the restaurant on island. So come July, and me and Elin were invited by my dad to join him on the boat. He went on a trip along the Norwegian coast this summer, and then he flew us up to northern Norway to a place called the Helgelands Coast, which is a really famous coastline in Norway with lots of small islands out in the sea. And you can take a boat to these islands and see what's what, basically. They have mountains, of course. This is Norway. There's always mountains somewhere, and these islands always usually have one or two nice mountains on them. So we went to this island called Lovund and did a hike up to the Lovund mountain. Shot the drone photo of Elin here, standing on the top. As you can see, it's quite spectacular from the top here. You can see Lovund down there at the bottom, and all the small islands in the fjord there. Really nice trip. This photo here is from a place called Ylvingen, which is on another island on the Helgelands coast. They have a restaurant there on the dock, so we went there to eat. This was taking around midnight, maybe. Norway, this early in the summer. So earlier in the summer, during one of the ODP gravel rides, a friend of mine, Sverre, asked me if I wanted to join him on a bikepacking trip in August. I thought that was really cool. I really wanted to join him, so that's what we did. We went on a bikepacking trip for a week on the northwest coast of Norway in August. Only problem was that during that week was the worst weather that's ever been recorded in Norway since ever. I'm not kidding. It was this weather called Hans, which was basically this, wasn't a storm or anything, was just this weather system that was so bad that it hasn't rained this much, like I said, in many years. And we were in the middle of this weather system bikepacking. And it started from the moment we stepped out of the train at the place called Oppdal till long into the week. I mean, we checked the weather forecast beforehand, but you don't cancel a trip just because of some bad weather, but we didn't think it would be this bad. So it was basically 3 or 4, maybe 5 days of riding in piss poor rain, up and down, big climbs, down to the fjord, over a mountain pass. We were pretty cold and miserable at times, but it was a super cool trip. In the end, the weather cleared, and we got some super nice riding on the northwest coast of Norway, over some famous mountain passes and famous gravel roads. Something called Rallarvegen, really famous gravel road from the west to the east, or the east to the west, depending on which route you want to take. But you definitely appreciate the good weather once you've been riding for 5 days straight in the rain. So yeah, we had a good time, absolutely. And to top it all off, we rode all the way from Geilo to Oslo in one go, which is like 250 k's, which were an experience as well. The train from Geilo to Oslo were cancelled because of damage on the railway, so that's why we just decided to just ride back home in one go. And then it was home for a little bit, and then it was straight to the Alps with Johan, whom I met earlier this winter. Super nice dude, and he asked me if I wanted to join him on Mont Blanc. And of course I said yes, because that's what you gotta do. If you get invited to something like this, you should always say yes. So we decided to hike or climb Mont Blanc, depending on how you see it. But we wanted to do it in just like a few days, because we didn't have much time. So kind of like a gung-ho style, I suppose, with no guide and not much acclimatization, just get in, get out sort of way. Which in hindsight probably wasn't the smartest, but still pretty good trip and a memory for life again. Absolutely. Flew into Italy, drove straight to the parking lot of Gran Paradiso, hiked up to this refuge as they have in the Alps, the same as in Norway as the national tourist cabins, and stayed at Refugio Frey, which is what this refugee is called. And then next morning started hiking towards Gran Paradiso, which was our acclimatization trek. Been there once before, many years ago during the spring to do some ski touring, but that didn't work at all. To put it that way, I was in such bad shape that I could barely get out of the refuge. So I think I managed to get maybe 200 height meters from the refuge before the guide told us to turn around again. Partly because of the bad weather, but also he probably understood that I would be no way in hell I would be able to get up there in my current condition. But this time I made it to the summit with Johan, the famous Madonna statue on the top, and also, of course, spectacular views. But this was definitely just a warning about what's to come, because even though we managed to hang out in Chamonix for a day, just relax, then once we started the summit push to Mont Blanc from Tétrousse, the refuge below the Gautier Hut, I was feeling shit, and basically went up too fast to Tétrousse and got symptoms of altitude sickness. So we turned around on the Mont Blanc glacier and went back down again. So we didn't summit Mont Blanc, unfortunately, which I feel a bit bad about, considering he invited me on his trip and then I managed to screw it up. But maybe we'll get redemption in 2024. We'll see. Back home again. We're now in September. The days are getting shorter. The sun is rising later, and the ODP gravel loop is still going strong. So I joined the early morning ride, and at this point, when we start at 05:45, then we are at the viewpoint pretty much exactly when the sun rises above the hills, and we get this epic sunrise above Oslo. Descend back down to the city again. This is the same spot where I took the picture when I was winter riding, and it's a nice way to meet new people and be a bit social, especially early in the morning, I'd say. And this was probably one of the last ODP gravel rides I did last year, I think. Elin had some vacation left and she wanted to go on a road trip in the van. So that's what we did. Took a trip again to the west coast of Norway, this time in the car, not on the bike, and did a hike up to this mountain called Bekkanosi, which is I don't know how famous it is, but it's quite known in Norway because it's got this really nice view over this fjord. Can't remember the name of it. There's lots of fjords in Norway. I'll put it on the screen. Nice trek, around 10 k's from the car. Just easy, pretty much all the way to the top. Spectacular views, as always. Still in September, but finally we got some good weather, so I decided to take my bike out for a nice little ride. Brought my camera and small tripod, and I had this photo in mind that I wanted to do. And just wanted to get a cool photo of me on the bike, pretty much some action. I got this nice clothes from Rob, so I wanted to take some photos with me wearing them, I guess. So just trying to send it as hard as I can through the corner here. Try to keep my hand off the brakes, but it wasn't easy. You can see the fingers are kind of like a bit over the brakes. Just really wanted to push them, but I like it. I think it's a cool photo. You can feel action in a way. Alright, getting to the end of the year now. It's getting close, just bear with me. I didn't take much photos in October, at least for me personally, but I did take this one, which was supposed to be a promo photo of my trip to Mera Peak. I didn't publish it anywhere. I was supposed to use it as a thumbnail on YouTube, but I used another photo. This is, like I said, a promo photo for my trip to Mera Peak 2023, which by now I hope you've seen the 3 episodes from that trip, or I was actually want to say expedition. If not, I think you should do that after watching this video. But at this point I gotten some new gear from Rob, so I wanted to take a photo with the new jacket and the cap, and do a nice photo of me explaining what I'm about to do, which were summiting a 6,476 meter high peak in Himalaya, which I could ski down. And I also did a whole video about all the photos from that trip, and like I mentioned a few seconds ago, I did 3 episodes from the trip. I'm not gonna go through those photos again, but I will show you the summit photo. This is from November then. This is from the summit of Mera Peak, 6,476 meter above sea level. And you have Choyo Oyo and Everest in the background. So, amazing trip or expedition, or whatever you want to call it. Shitty skiing. But I didn't really have any big expectations about the skiing, so that was okay. The views and everything around it made the whole trip worth it, for sure, no doubt in my mind. And now, December 2023, just last month, I went skiing with the 2 of my nephews and my brother-in-law here in Oslo Ski Moor, or Oslo Ski Resort, or whatever you want to call it. I try to hang out with them. It's quite fun. They're getting bigger and bigger, more active, especially on the skiing side. Free skiers, both of them, of course. Clothes are supposed to be baggy. Goggles are supposed to be Oakley. It's gotta be the right clothing and the right size, you know how it is. It's interesting to follow them in that regards. And this was in mid-December, maybe, in the chairlift after a loop in the park. But it was a good time, and everybody was happy. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I hope you liked the photos. I'm happy with how my year was, with all the things I've done, with all the photos I'm taking, with all the films. I guess it's back to the drawing board and trying to figure out how to take it a step further in 2024 and have an even better time. But until then, enjoy your new year, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.